Watauga Arts Council with your host, Cherry Johnson, serving arts in Watauga County for more than 30 years.
Hi, I'm Cherry Johnson with Watauga County Arts Council, and I don't think you've seen us with this kind of a setup before. This is really going to be intriguing, and I hope you're going to enjoy this. The Arts Council this month, in the month of April, is celebrating the work of Norma Suddreth. She is our exhibiting artist in the main gallery this month, and she has a fabulous show that you can come and check out at the Blue Ridge Art Space, which we also have 3 other exhibits, excuse me, and so therefore you can come in and have quite a smorgasbord, because next to Norma's is the mudslingers. So we got paper making and mudslinging. And then we've got, of course, our children's exhibit and our serendipity exhibit. But these are going to be it's going to be a fun month. And Norma's doing a little bit more than your average exhibitor, because she is doing a workshop as well. That workshop is coming up on April the 22nd, and it also is on April the 23rd. It's a 2-day. And you can do it from 1 to 3 or from 6 to 8. I will tell you the 1 to 3 is about full. So once that one's full, we'll have to only accept in the 6 to 8 o'clock slots, because you can only handle so many people at one time.
That's right.
Yeah.
And and I am supplying everything. You do not have to have any experience. Just come and
Have
enjoy
fun.
and learn too.
And you're going to get to see a little taste of it today, because Norma's going to tell us all about this amazing array of stuff here. Norma makes paper. Mm-hmm. And you're going to talk about the process of paper making. I have to admit that I'm pretty much of a novice myself, so you're going to educate me too.
Well, you just ask lots of questions.
I will. So let's start with what's where.
Okay. Just briefly, the history of paper making is very interesting, especially because paper at one time was more precious than gold. Mm. The Chinese were the ones that were credited with the first to make paper as such about 2,000 years ago. And they made it. It was a secret. No one knew how to make paper. And so therefore it was traded sometimes. And it was kept a secret for quite a long while, until they took a prisoner. I think he was Korean, and he saw them making paper. Mm-hmm. He was able to observe what they were doing. And one interesting thing that he observed, quite unusual to him, was, and we today call it toilet tissue.
So the first commonly used paper was toilet paper.
Well, actually, no, but that was one. Paper can be used for a lot of different things. And they used something that I use here in North Carolina. They used mulberry.
Okay, now that's a tree. So
mulberry
I'm
is a tree.
envisioning scratchy paper.
No, but but they did primarily use mulberry, and I'll show you that in just a second. But we can't forget cotton. Cotton is also a commodity, or a plant that is used quite frequently in paper making. And I'm going to be using this, Cherry, a lot in our workshop, because cotton makes an excellent sculptural medium. And so we'll be using pulp, handmade paper pulp, which has been dyed. And I will have this ready for the students. And so we'll see how we can mix that. Just as you see right here, we have the primary colors, red, yellow, and blue. And actually these can be used just as you would a palette on your own watercolor or oil. And we actually just mix that in our hands to get this is sort of a purplish red. Didn't do a totally excellent job of mixing that, but how we get green and how we get orange.
Okay, now let's back up. The workshop is pulp paper painting.
We're going to be making, the first day, we're going to be making some paper sheets.
Okay.
Just as you see right here.
Okay.
We're going to be producing some sheets, which I'll show you in a moment what we'll do with those. And we'll be also, the pulp will be provided, and it will already be dyed, but you'll be able to put a little finesse on it and get it to the condition that you want it to be when you're going to do your painting.
Okay. Now, can you mix those colors?
Yes. And it's just, I said, we mixed this color and this blue and yellow, to get the green. I did that just in my hand.
But now once we've got the pulp you've made, can we also still mix it again?
You
Okay.
can.
Okay.
You can, and you can be that creative with it. I will have the base for you.
Okay.
So we use a lot of the cotton, and this is some that I have frozen. And when I have it left over, you can see this is just cotton kind of wadded up. But when that is mixed with a medium, we can make that so we can sculpt with it. Another fiber that I use, it's very common, not around here, but are banana leaves. And the pith, or I guess the stalk, that you might say, of the banana makes a wonderful paper, and we call it abaca. This is an example of that. I use a lot of abaca. Now this abaca is as I said, comes from the banana plant, and it makes wonderful papers and easily dyed. So I do use a lot of that, and I do purchase some. I do some handmade, but I do purchase excuse me.
Go ahead.
With the amount that I make, it's a little difficult for me to produce and pound this and get everything that I need.
I was going to ask you, you buy the raw leaves, or you buy it like this?
I have friends and all over who provide me with a lot of fibers.
Okay.
And so a friend has a greenhouse, and I get the fiber from her when I need it.
And so when you get that, then it comes like it is there.
It comes just like this.
And so you turn it into this.
And I turn it into this.
And you do that by?
I do this, all right, let me show you here this is using, I said we use a lot of mulberry. Mulberry is a native plant to North Carolina. You can purchase this. In fact, this right here was purchased from a supply house, but I love the North Carolina mulberry. It's more fibrous, it has a little different color, and I like the texture of it. So what this is, and this is just a small little sample, I will use, as I said, I didn't want to bring a log in, but, and you do, one thing that's wonderful about art and about paper making, you use science, you use math.
That's true.
And so at one point in my life, I was a biology teacher too, and so after this is hydrated, you can peel off the outer bark, as I'm doing right here.
And when you say hydrating, that's just soaking
That
it.
is soaking it in water, and thank you. And then here is the heartwood. Down here, you've heard of the heartwood, but between the bark and the heartwood is a layer of the xylem and the phloem, and this is what takes the nutrients in and up and down to the leaves. And you peel this off, all of this, and this is what, when you do enough of it, that you're going to get. This is the medium that you're going to get. It looks like
hair.
Kind of like hair, kind of like strings. But then what you do, you take this, and I put it in a large vat or gallon jugs or whatever, and I will pour water on it, and I will leave it for a period of time. Then after I have left that for...
You're just poking it down a cup of
I'm
water.
just poking that down here. So after I've left that for a long period of time, it will come out something like this. And you can see from this that how fibrous it is and how it's beginning to separate. The fibers begin to separate. But that still isn't enough. So what I will do with that, I will take a plant we're all familiar with here in North Carolina, which I love, okra. And you can, and all of this is green. People that like green, like organic, getting back to nature, this is their real thing. This is their thing. So you can steam okra, and there is a white substance, kind of slimy, and you put that in this with water, and it will separate even more. Then at that point, or maybe even before that, I will take a large board with this, and I will take a mallet, and I will pound and pound and pound. And I will do that sometimes in my neighbors. I'm sure we'll have to use earplugs, but
I bet you don't do this during the night.
No, that's right. Well, if their children have kept me up, well, anyway, playing the loud music, I might. But no, I don't do it at night. And so then you put it into a vat, just like this. And you put all of this medium into a vat, and it doesn't want to come out, but I'll let you see, and I don't know if the television can see this or not, so maybe that
I'll
won't
pick it
help
up
a
and
whole
stir
lot.
it a little bit.
And we'll
Yeah.
add lots of water to that. And this is just sort of a little sample, and we'll stir that up and let that sit for some time.
It smells funny too.
Yeah, well, this may have been hydrating for several weeks.
It's brewing.
But I don't let anything go to waste. No, everything. So, but that will be up to about right here.
Okay.
And then after that, this is my all-time favorite mold and decal. The mold and decal, and people can make these, but this is a professionally purchased one, and I have used it, I suppose, for nearly 20 years.
So what it looks like is a wood frame with screen.
It's right. It's wood, and it has special glue on it to glue it down. And now this is has to be a screen that's it isn't a wire. It's wire, but it's coated. So, but then what you do with this, you dip this in, bring it up, and the fibers all settle in here.
Yeah.
You let the water drain out. You pull it over here, put it down here. And sometimes I will use this matting that you see under here, or sometimes if I'm in a real hurry and I do lots of things, I have lots of patience for some things, and other things I just want to hurry up and get it on. And sometimes I will do just this. And after that dries, it will actually just peel off. So then, after it dries, we have a sheet of paper. And that it will look something like this. This is the very mat that was made from. This right here.
So this determines the size of the
That
paper.
will determine, or you can purchase those shaped in round or heart shapes or different shapes like that too. So you're not limited.
Now, if it's bigger than your vat, can you like pour this up on it?
You can pour this, depending, and you're usually going to get a little holes in, or sometimes if I want holes, I'll put my fingers like that. So when you learn how to do it, then you can really get creative.
Playing with it, yeah.
Yes, playing with it. And I love to keep the edges really deckled. Now, the Orientals who made this, they were very cautious when I was in the Orient to tell me they pick out every little flaw. And it takes years sometimes for them to do it. So they commonly say that the Western folks have bastardized their paper making.
But that's what makes it pretty.
We put all kind of stuff in it, and to them we ruin it.
Well,
sometimes.
and I was looking at this vat before you started on this, and you had little purple flowers in it.
Those are little dried leaves. Okay, let's go back over here. So we've done cotton, we've done abaca, we have done mulberry.
Right.
Now, one that I love the paper, and it's a slight green paper, and the monarchs love this, but this is milkweed. It's processed the same way. It has the same fibers, but as you can see, they're much smaller fiber. Much more difficult to harvest. Long time in harvesting this to get enough. So I'm very particular about how I use that, and because it takes so much physical effort to get that produced.
Really, yeah.
And then sometimes I like to use, as you said, decorative papers. This is a piece, and I never throw much away that I've made because I know how difficult it was to make. But this is a piece of cotton, has several different colors in it, and sometimes I will just use, that may have been a piece of candy that my husband gave me or something or other, and I'll put that in there. So this is an example.
So is that a foil that's in there?
This is a foil.
Yeah,
this
thought
is
it
just
was.
the foil from a
'Cause it's
piece
shiny.
of candy or something like that. But this is cotton, and it's great to sculpt with, and if you need a heavier consistency, sometimes that's really good to have.
That's cool.
Then this piece right here is the one I just showed you. This is the abaca, or the banana leaf. The one that I think is so beautiful, as I said, is the North Carolina mulberry.
Right.
And you see, it has these flaws in it, but I love I like little pieces of bark. It has the deckled edge. I just rarely ever, I won't say never, but I usually like to keep the deckled edges. That is one way that you can tell it has been made by hand. Not commercially. You can buy handmade papers that are commercially made by hand, but when I look at them, to me, in my critical eye now that I've done it so many years, I can almost tell which piece, even though it's hand pulled, that has been done commercially. So when you do it in your own studio, you can't make any two alike.
And I don't know if they can see it on the camera, but there's a lot of variations in thickness in this paper, and that's where the flaws you're talking about are.
What they might call flaws.
And I don't call it flaws, I call it the beauty of the paper.
But the, can the camera see this now?
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. But at any rate, yes, I can point out some little flaws and little discolorations, but it has lots of texture, and that's what I really like. So I will quit pounding it before I get it totally pounded free of those what they would call imperfections. And then we dyed the papers. I mentioned that we would dye them, and this is a piece of cotton. That cotton dyes very easily, and it brings out some beautiful colors. So this is a dyed piece.
Now, what do you use for your dyes?
I buy the dyes.
Commercial dyes.
You can buy natural dyes, and sometimes I will use those, but primarily I will buy commercial dyes.
So no pounding berries for dye.
No, but when I get into fresco, and I do make frescoes. By the way, if you happen to be at Rumpel Memorial Presbyterian Church, they have dedicated 6 small frescoes, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, Christ, the True Vine, and the Holy King. So go and see that.
That's good.
So, but anyway, back to the paper. I love making decorative papers, and these are things, this is a piece of pampas grass. I use different grasses. I will use herbs. Oh, those are wonderfully, an herbal group in, I think it was in, I forgot what county, called me a couple years ago and asked me if I would do paper making with using natural herbs. And oh, when you smell those herbs, when you open up a card, a greeting card, and that's what we did we made greeting cards using, so this is basil and some other herbs. But not only do I use those, I will from time to time, and I am a very, very amateur herpetologist. This is a snake skin. So lots of friends know that I do use the skins of reptiles, snakes, and I will include that into my decorative papers. And
so where do you find your snake skins?
Well, under the house, crawling up under the in the crawl space, and I found them that way. And no, my sister-in-law said, "Norma, we've got a snake. Come and get it." So I crawled up under there, and I got 6 wonderful snake skins. And when I came out, she said, "You didn't get it. You didn't get it." And it had crawled over her piping in her basement, and I didn't even get the ones that she had called me about. So there's always an adventure in paper making. I use lots of feathers, lichens, butterfly wings, just things found in nature, and things that are not found in nature. Maybe just a little decorative, something like this sometimes.
Well, it's like the full that you put in there.
Yes, that's right. So I'll use a lot of that sometimes. And this is a piece of, and dried flowers. When I get a gift of a bouquet or something, which is always appreciated, and you don't want to throw it away, I will take the dried flowers and keep them and use them. These are feathers, of course, as you can see. These are herbs, snake skin, and I don't know what else I might have in there, some type of plant. But if you want your papers always to be archival or acid-free, you might want to be careful about what you put in your decorative papers, but for me, that doesn't pose a really big problem. I love doing research on the Native Americans who lived in this area. And in fact, I have a whole series of large sculptures. Miss Cherokee posed for me, and we made armatures, so I have a large selection of that too. But this is a little tattoo pot. And this is everything that I do Native American is based on research and history, or historical research that I do. And the Cherokee women years and years ago tattooed themselves, and they had these little pots. And this one is made out of paper, and this is the paper pulp. We probably won't be doing that, but that's just
But it can be
another.
done,
That's
yeah.
just a simple,
Cool.
simple example. And if they want to see some other types of work, they can go on my website. I think it will come up, just normasuddrethart.com.
Yeah.
I don't even think you have to put the www.
Question, you have a wasp nest there.
Yes. The Chinese were the first, then the Koreans, and then the Oriental, the Japanese. Then Marco Polo, the way it came to Europe, he went and found, I think it was in the 1800s, I might have mentioned, and then it went to Europe and then to the United States. But this right here was observed by a Frenchman, and I can't recall his name right now, and je parle en français petit. I can't remember his le nom. But this is nothing but paper, and he observed that the wasps would take wood and they would make these little nests out of it. And so he had this idea, and I think he was one of the first then that began to produce paper en masse
Now,
in
can you
Europe.
use a wasp nest in your paper?
Oh yes, that's nothing but pure nature right there. Yeah, sure.
Well, you just tear it apart and then just
Tear
work
it apart,
it in?
or I might just tear one out and use it in some of my decorative.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
right.
Cool.
And then when some of the finished products that you might be interested in seeing, this is just a watercolor painting of the Blowing Rock, and the exhibition is all North Carolina mountains and
Right.
hills. They're all the paintings in the exhibition are inspired from our mountains, and you will recognize some, and some you won't.
Yeah.
In the workshop also, we'll be doing the pulp, and as I mentioned early on, we will use these colors, which I have already processed and ready for them, or they may mix their own and make their own. And then the second day, after making the paper and after making the pulp, and they will also make a design. And I have done a very, very, very simple little design here. I simply have taken a sheet of paper and put some lines just so that you could see the process. And what we have here, using the pulp, and you can see the difference, and once it's framed, and I'll provide the mats, and they can make their own design. Let's see, Easter's coming up, and let's say my grandsons always love Hayden and Ross and Drew. They love doing art, even as late teenagers and early 20-year-olds. So who knows, over Easter we may do some art with them. But they enjoy doing art and seeing what I've done too.
Oh, yeah.
So that's one way to keep your grandchildren interested. And then we'll maybe put something like a little butterfly on it, or maybe a natural. This is not a real butterfly, but we can also put on there some product of nature, which would be really nice. So that, and then, interesting, if we have time during our workshop, I'm going to show you how to make a monoprint off of your
That's amazing.
your paper pulp. Quick and easy. This is not archival. It will not last forever, but it's going to last for someone to get a card or a small painting from you and think how wonderfully creative you are.
That's great. Now you had, I don't know if you still do have in the gift shop, some handmade cards that you were selling.
I think we have those. I think they're all Valentine cards.
I think they were.
I think in the shop, in the sales shop, it's all Valentine, but I need to get you some more. That's right.
So,
Then-
so you can buy it, if you don't want to go to the trouble of making it yourself, but you want to give something that special,
Right.
then you could come by and pick one up.
And once
so.
you've seen what all you do to get that card, you'll think, is this all they're charging for that? And then if you finish all of your assignments or whatever you want to do, you may take some of your sheets, and we've pulled 2 sheets here, and I hope the camera can see this. And we have pulled a sheet of, it's probably a mixture here, and sometimes I mix them. If I have leftover abaca or leftover a little bit of cotton or a little bit of mulberry or whatever, I will include that. And see, you can see the deckled edges here.
Yes.
And then I pulled a small, what you can do is half these for greeting card sizes and either do a painting. So some of them that, would want to paint on their sheets, they're welcome to do that too. And I just happened to do a little peach here. Now, I do like to keep the decal, and so I don't want to hide that decal. It is hidden with the mat on that first sheet, but I do want to keep this decal right here, so that'll show that it's truly a handmade piece of paper. And all these little flaws and imperfections, it's sort of like raw silk. When you see imperfections in clothing, you'll know that sometimes that helps you know that that's the real thing. So that is pretty much what we're going to be doing in our workshop. And
I want to ask a question about the workshop. You got the colored pulp, and you're going to put it onto a piece of paper you've made yourself the day before?
You may do that. When we make the pulp, we make the paper, and we make a design that first day. Then the second day is going to be used primarily, you're creating paintings, using your sheets of paper, using the pulp, and then that second day I also will provide you with brushes and paint, and you decide you want to paint on them, that's all, and I'll show you how to do that. That's a little bit more detailed, a little more detailed than what we have time for here today.
But you also told me that you can paint without a brush with the pulp.
Yes, we will. That's what this was. This little example I showed you here. This was something that
you just spread it out, I guess.
And quite a few pieces that are in the exhibition. In fact, I would say the majority are hand done with just your hand, and you'll be kind of amazed when you start with the design how you can take the different colors that you have and you just with your hands. And I don't always use gloves. Most of the time I do not use gloves. And but you can make a design, wonderful design, and they may want to do something Easter to give to, Easter will have been passed by that.
Like
gone,
it's going to
next Easter.
Be a combination of painting and finger painting
Sculpting,
and sculpture.
Right. So now it sounds like an awfully lot. But do come with the thought of learning and creating. And yes, it's going to be enjoyable. I think anytime we start creating, there's just something in us. And the only way I can explain creativity is that it's bubbling. That's all I know. It's causing something inside of you to expand and to bubble up. And make you feel wonderful in some sort of way.
Now, you're going to be teaching this 2 different times, and we're going to limit the class size to 6 people.
Yes, let's do that.
Yeah, that way you can get the personalized attention that you want, and you'll be able to actually, you'll be able to focus on each student that way. So we already have the earlier class almost full. And so the second class is still open, and so if folks want to come at 6 to 8 p.m., that would be a good time to try to come.
And keep your fingers crossed for good weather, because if it's really pretty, then maybe we can go out on the front porch and pull these so that we're not afraid of spilling or making any mess. But
we're not going to get uptight.
I've done this enough that we're pretty much, I can bring lots of protective sheeting and so on, so we'll be okay.
I think this is going to be wonderful.
Come, join us.
Yes, and I encourage you to come and be a part of this workshop. There are other workshops going on at Blue Ridge Art Space all the time. We've had several happening at the same time of day. It makes the place just so energetic and fun, to have all the creativity happening all around everywhere, like you said, bubbling.
Yeah.
It feels that way, And so I encourage you to come and do that. If you want to dab and dip your toe in the water and you don't quite want to jump into a workshop, we also are offering arty parties, which are 2-hour experiences where you do a process of some sort, depending on what the topic of the workshop is, and you'll be done in 2 hours with a finished product that you can take home with you. So we've got a variety of things out there, and for the people who say, "Oh, I've never done any art, I'm not creative, I can't do this," I got news for you. There's an art form for you.
There is.
So
I promise you, you think you can't do this, when you come, you're going to be so proud of yourself and your children, your grands. Did you do that? So
Yeah.
that's all the result
Exactly.
that you need.
Then you could look at it every day and feel good about
Yes,
yourself.
that's right.
So Norma's a great teacher, and I think you'll really enjoy working with her.
Thank you so much.
And so come and check out our website, watauga-arts.org, has a place on it that's called Online Store. And in the online store, you can click that button and it will give you a place to look about more information about all of our workshops that we're still offering this spring. I took off the ones that have already happened, so you're only seeing the ones that are still open. And then also you'll be able to actually sign up on the spot. You can even pay through PayPal, so it makes it really easy. If you don't want to do it that way, you can come by the Blue Ridge Art Space. I'll sign you up right there, or you can also call us at 264-1789. So I encourage you to come do that. Also, you want to be sure and come on the second Saturday, which is April the 11th, I believe, and meet Norma and
Yeah, for the opening reception, please.
5:30
Get
to
food.
7:30.
Food.
And we'll have Norma, we'll have the mudslingers, we'll have the other two exhibits open. We'll also have in each of our classrooms someone demonstrating some art form. We'll have to get you back to do a demo later on for another second Saturday. You know, 'cause I
Sounds
think
good to me.
folks would love to see what you
Sounds
do.
good.
Just let you
Yeah.
watch you work.
Okay.
So,
Sounds good.
all right. So be sure you're a part of this. Be a part of the arts in Watauga County.
Watauga Arts Council with your host, Cherry Johnson, serving arts in Watauga County for more than 30 years.